Welcome back to Worthing News. This week I have some big brain ideas about what we could see from this April Fool's event. I'm serious, and I also have other things to talk about that I've been putting off. But anyways, be sure to hit the subscribe button because this is going to be an interesting one. You see, I was looking at some of my old films because I do that sometimes. I don't know why I call them films. And one of them precisely was the April Fool's video that I made for 2019 when we had the UFO spaceships. And in it, I made this statement.
They had several buildings, definitely not from any city called Green Hills. Some of them, in fact, from China. Some people have been suspecting that it's hinting towards a Chinese tech tree. Personally, I think it's more of just a modeler having too much fun.
And lo and behold, later that year, we got a Chinese tech tree. Now, that's not absolute proof. Perhaps it's just something that happened. The modeler was just having fun, had some cool Chinese buildings there, and it just happened to line up. Oh, that's also the year that we're going to add China. But that's not the only person or situation that was hinting towards a Chinese tech tree. If you watch the ending bit of that video, I'd go over that year's Sim10AP fake patch notes, in which he states the J20 and J31, which are both Chinese jets. What influenced Sim10AP to add these Chinese jets to these fake patch notes? There's no additional planes that needed to be added to the Russian tree, as they already had the Su-57 and MiG-37B. See, now I think you'll get where I'm hinting at, is this joke was like an in-joke. Like Sim10AP, he knew what was coming in the future, and he was just like make a little hint at it that only he and his other cronies would get. Now, what could this mean? And what does it have to do with the title of this video? Well, for Sim10AP's joke patch notes this year around, for tanks, there is 2 additional nations added. New Zealand for the Bob Simple tank, which many people have been memeing about for a while now, so it's an expected meme, but also Poland with 3 premium tanks, a T-34, a TKS, and the PL-01. So perhaps, like maybe they were last year, these patch notes are hinting towards something that we could see in the future. I know, it's very kind of stringy, not very solid train of thought there. Who knows, maybe they are just joking and that one time they were right. Here's my last point in my argument here. My last point. On the rumor roundup thread on the forums, people were doing as they usually do and going off topic and talking about random things that don't matter. But in the midst of this chaos that this thread usually is, someone made the statement, it is very unlikely that Romulan tech tree will come. Gaijin never brought 2 nations in 1 year. If I'm not mistaken, the 1.97 rumor roundup discussion confirmed that no new nations will come this year. And that conversation started to snowball into a bigger one, taking up the entire rumor roundup forums. So Sim10AP came into action to shut down this conversation once and for all, make sure the thread is back on track, kind of, stating that Italy and France in 2017, China and Sweden in 2019. However, it is already said, there are no new nations in 1.99, so can we please stop using this topic to discuss Romania and other nations? You see here, he's not stating that there's not going to be no new nations added this year. In fact, if anything, you could look at it and implying maybe they're going to add 2 new nations this year, though that's a little bit of a stretch. And now I have to ask, what do you people think, since I've showed you all this information of the possibility? Will Poland come to War Thunder? Despite everything I've shown you here, I'm still quite hesitant to say so, because honestly, what kind of tech tree could you add that is entirely Polish? I don't think you could, and it would be mostly copy-paste stuff. Now, Gaijin has shown that they're not afraid to add a copy-paste tree, as we saw with China, but to do it twice would be quite brazen. There's a few other ways that it could be done. You could add it to some sort of Eastern Europe tech tree, mixed with a few other countries like Czechoslovakia and Hungary. However, I always feel that those mixed trees kind of lose their independent identity as a singular nation. But that's it for Polish tech tree speculation. There was some other news that happened. In fact, today, actually, the day after last week, whatever. There's a Q&A posted to the official site, and I found a good amount of these questions were actually of things people have been asking. There was complaints that they weren't, but honestly, I felt this was one of the better Q&As, though better than awful isn't exactly saying a whole lot. But anyways, let's get into this Q&A, and as usual, I'm only going to go over the questions that I actually cared about, but actually that was most of the questions this one, and I think I only skipped one because the answer of it didn't seem like it understood the question. Anyways, starting with aviation, first one was asking for more F4s, and their answer was maybe, which is kind of disappointing because I was expecting everyone to get an F4, and I can't see a reason why not to add a German one and whoever else had one, but perhaps now it's time for the F104s to spread around the game. The following question was one of the questions that I've actually had people ask quite often. What about the RB-24Js for the J-35D? Answer was also a maybe if it needs it, as was the last time that I talked about this missile being added to that jet. Then there's a question asking for MiG-19 and MiG-21 skins, as NATO jets commonly have a bunch of into them. However, it seems that most were unpainted, though they are looking into it. The next question I did not understand, and I don't think the answer understood the question either, so I'm not really sure why they even bothered to include this one, but whatever. The following one was asking if they could have some sort of multi-function menu for manual engine controls, and the reply was that it's a little too complex, and a lot of manual engine control values are on a scale, not just an on or off button, which is kind of disappointing to hear, as well manual engine controls I hear can do a lot for your plane if you know what you're doing. I have a harder time trying to remember what buttons I map to what, as the majority of my keyboard is already taken up with other functions in the game, so having a easy to use menu to get around all that could be quite useful, especially in the heat of battle. The following question is one that I'm quite excited for, asking if a ballistic calculator would be added to the MiG-15 bis-ish, and the answer was a yes, though it sounds like it's not just going to be for the MiG-15 bis-ish, but probably other aircraft that had a similar setup to whatever this thing had. I'm excited for this because I'm one of the suckers that actually got the MiG-15 bis-ish, though not as much as a sucker because I asked Gaijin for it, got it for free because I'm a filthy sellout. The jet in its current form is just a bad MiG-15 bis with extra bombs and rockets that are really hard to aim. With the addition of some sort of ballistic calculator, it's possible you could see it in Tank RB again, and maybe even perhaps put back on sale. And the final aircraft question was for larger carriers for Phantoms to land on, and they said yes, it's planned, though it's been planned for a while now. How hard is it to just make a bigger aircraft carrier? The first ground forces question was asking for more MBTs for France, and they said they had a new Leclerc planned. Next question was asking for German copy-paste tanks in the Italian tree to fill in some of the empty spots, like we see with US tanks in the French tree, and they said yes, and they had planned to do it for nations that have holes in their trees. Which sounds great and all, but I'd prefer to have at least Italian prototypes before we have German copy-paste things. I'm pretty sure there are 3 prototype P-40 tanks that they could add, and many other very cool Italian prototype tanks that they haven't even added. And if we're gonna have Italian fillers, could we also have some Japanese fillers? There's some simple copy-paste things that they could do that would really improve the tree, like an M16 for their Spag line, and maybe Panzer IIIs and M47 as at least premiums, as they did purchase those like they purchased the Japanese Tiger that's currently in the tree. There's a question I missed taking a note of, asking if Japan and China's missile spags are close, and the answer was that they have been delayed. Like, I can get why Japan's missile spag would be delayed, as they don't have a whole lot of selection to choose from, but China does. China's a modern country with modern equipment. Then there was a question asking if they're going to fix the Wheelie Boys because they're impossible to drive, and they say yes, they are, which is pretty great to hear because those things are fun to play, but at times very chaotic. However, have improved quite a lot recently. Second last question was asking if the request location of allies mechanic in sim battles is going to return, and they say that they indeed do have plans to return it with some improvements, as it's the only way to stop the Germans from shooting all their friendlies. And the final question was supposedly somebody asking if they're going to add premium vehicles with thermal imaging for China, Soviets, and Italians. And I'm not going to tell you the answer, actually. You have to guess it. Now, what do you think the answer is? Is Gaijin going to add more really strong premiums to various trees to make money, or are they going to not? It's stupid questions like this one that make me think that these Q&As are not real. It's just a collection of information that Gaijin wanted to put out, but they couldn't really do individually because it would be very strange and segmented. Only 2 questions for helicopters. First one's asking, where's my Japanese heli tree? And Gaijin replied saying, we're discussing the issue at the moment, and there's a possibility that the Japanese heli tree will only have 2 to 3 vehicles. But like my dude, I could think of more than 2 to 3 vehicles for a Japanese heli tree. Like right now, right here, we got H-64, the probably 2 variants of the H ones. I'm pretty sure they had 2. And then we have the Bell helicopter with some ATGMs attached to it as the reserve or beginner. I could even go beyond that, as if you wanted to stretch it a little bit. I know they used a Huey, some variant, and so the Germans and Gaijin decided to attach some ATGMs to the German Huey, even though it never attached them. Also, there's that one Ninja helicopter that I forgot the name to. Oh, now we're at 5. Stretching it a little bit, because the Ninja helicopter was a air-to-air only helicopter. Pretty sure it didn't have any ATGMs. But at the rate we're going with Japanese and Chinese things, I'm kind of expecting Japan to not even show up in Enlisted. I know that's developed by different dudes, but like, it's just, I have really low expectations. Other one was asking for cockpits of the H-64s, and they're like, yeah, dude, we're totally gonna make those and other cockpits for helicopters, because people really care about that, because helicopter cockpits are used ever. I don't know, maybe they're used in Sim a lot. I don't play Sim. 4 questions for Naval. First one was a long-winded one asking for the improvement to tracers for naval forces, and they said no. Then there was one talking about the not enough crew to repair mechanic, and Gaijin didn't actually answer it. They just said that it makes ships sink in different ways, which is cool. What I think they're implying, maybe there's something lost in translation or something, is that by the time you get to the not crew enough to repair a mechanic, your ship would have been dead already if it wasn't for that mechanic. But they gotta make it so you can refill your health, your crew percentage at a port for Enduring Confrontation. Like, it's really dumb to have like, oh, I got one crew member left, so my ship's basically dead anyways. Like, just go let me repair it or whatever. Or they could have a system where you scuttle your ship and you get like a spawn point bonus or whatever. And can we have it so you can repair your tanks at your spawn point? Like, how stupid is it that you have to capture the point to be able to repair your tank if you don't have repair kit? Can we just get rid of the stupid repair kit thing enemies too? Like, that's just very unfun to play without the repair kit. Now, you do get it quite easily, but even then, that one game is just so annoying. You get shot in the transmission. Oh, you're out of the game. Whatever, I think we've been through that tangent before. The next naval question was asking if they're going to make it so naval is only Enduring Confrontation and get rid of the mixed battle thing, and they said that they actually are not going to, because it seems there's a different audience for both of those. I don't know if that's true or not. Most people who talk about naval on my Discord seem to talk about both game modes, either mixed matches or Enduring Confrontation. However, they are going to be running Enduring Confrontation more often. And the last question I liked quite a lot. Someone who was asking for ironclad warships. Like, my dude, that's a bit out of date a little. Like, most of the game has to do with World War II and beyond, though I wouldn't be against seeing some ironclads. Guy just simply said that it would have to be in a different game mode, though they didn't straight out say no, we're not doing that. So it gets me noggin jogging there. There's two questions in the other section. First one is asking for wind squadron vehicles. I'm guessing this is CT Center, and they essentially just said soon. I wonder what the next squadron vehicles will be. Probably for something for Germany that people have been kind of asking for, and something for the UK that nobody actually wanted. And the final question of this Q&A was asking for rough weather and storms. And Gaiji's reply is, well, as it sounds very fun to fly through stormy weather or choppy seas, it doesn't actually become that fun in gameplay, which in the early alpha of Naval Forces, they did have some pretty choppy weather, and it was kind of annoying, so I understand where they're coming from. And other random news, the MiG-23, as well as the F-14A, F-16A, and F-15 have all been denied for the next patch. Very surprising, I know. You can buy the War Thunder soundtrack on Steam now, and the store team dude is a weeb. And that's all the news I have for you this week. Before I close out, first I'd like to thank my Patreons. Well, by one Patreon, Sukobalet Idinahui. Thank you very much. As well as my YouTube members, starting with a new one, Cursed Rax. Thank you very much for joining. Dreep Lowski, Gaming Wolf Fox, The Royal Rat, John is having a divorce, Tex, One Max, Roger Rammer, Grimace, I like them thick, Mighty Peppers, Pointless Gun Sneaks, and Waffly Joker 6. A big thank you to all of you. YouTube members and Patreons get videos uploaded a little bit early and a unique Discord role, so if you join either of them, there should be a link in the description or hit the join button. If any of you comments, concerns, or questions about the video, be sure to hit me below or on my Discord. If you've liked the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, don't hit the like button. If you want to see more, I make War Weekly news videos every Sunday and make random videos throughout the week. I like to stream on Saturdays, as I've been picking up streaming randomly throughout the week on twitch.tv, typically streaming squadron battles when we do those, so be sure to follow me there. But for everything else, you can hit the bell icon to be notified anytime I upload anything. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day. In the terms of bonus news, check out this awesome clip of Glowware and my squadron during a squadron battle shooting the bomb of a bomber mid-air right after the plane drops it.